Today on The Loving Truth, I'm giving you a behind-the-scenes look at my signature program, The Decision, which is the only place where I offer direct coaching. You'll hear real questions from members navigating the uncertainty of their relationship, along with my coaching and insights to help them move toward clarity. If you've ever felt stuck, unsure whether to stay or go, these conversations may give you the answers you've been searching for. Let's dive in.
So I'm not going to read all of it, but I thought this is such a good opportunity, though, to point out, because what you're experiencing is really common. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. I'm sure, I'm clear. No, I'm not. So I'm going to read a few of these things because anyone who's in the Divorce Differently group or anyone who's considering divorce, we think that once we make the decision that then it's all just sort of coasting from there, and it's just not. And that's normal. We have to normalize what is real and normal here. So let's see, back in February, you had the conversation and it went well and nothing had really changed. Your thoughts and emotions seemed like they were fine. You kept taking baby steps and not wanting to get stuck. And then terror, the next paragraph, then I'm terrified. Now I know I want out of this marriage and I'm terrified that I won't be able to do it. Not because I lack the courage, but because I can't tell the difference between taking care of myself and selfishness. When I think about staying, I'm sad, I'm lonely, and I'm deeply disappointed in myself. But when I think about leaving, I'm also sad and disappointed. All the years he's been so hurtful and angry, drunk, ugly in all the ways that offended me the most. And I believed myself to be the kind one. This is so big. I am struggling with the idea that I'll be the unkind one, the selfish one, who turned my back on my promise. My brain knows this is ridiculous. Choices and consequences have been my lifetime motto, but my heart is having such a hard time claiming my own happiness. And then in late June, apparently you were flying high and then totally crashed the next day. So much has happened in the last few days and weeks. Filed for divorce, moved out, kind of have to move back in occasionally to care for the pets. Hubby doesn't want divorce, got freaking COVID, need a place to live, have to find a place to live, have to look for a job, have to find a job, wonder if this is the right job. And if anything I'm doing is really the right damn decision. Yeah. And when you're going through all the things that you have to do, it creates overwhelm, and overwhelm leads to inaction. But when you start talking about one thing, like, I'm going to think about a job. I'm going to think about where I want to live, like one thing at a time. It's not as overwhelming and you don't get as paralyzed. Then, anyway, I survived thanks to the tools I'm now equipped with, stupid brain. As I read my original coaching request and compared it to my current situation, things have definitely changed. So as I think about the call with Sharon, I've had some thoughts. I'm 6 months from the date I signed up for the Divorce Differently group. There were days that I was certain I would never get unstuck from my sad, lonely, broken marriage. But every step I turned to the tools and teachings I've learned from Sharon and committed myself to never going backwards, only forwards, even if those steps were so tiny, I could barely see them. And there were days that there were giant steps, like the conversation or the day I moved out and the day I filed for divorce. Looking back, I can see how Sharon's tools allowed me to get where I am now and where I plan to be on the other side of this. Every time I use the model to change my thought and emotional pattern, each time I put my lizard brain on a leash, and especially each time I strengthened my boundary setting muscles in a way that was firm but compassionate. These skills became my superpower. Every single day for the past 6 months, I put those tools to use and they worked. Yay, you. But wait, there's more. I think I was overly confident in my solidity yesterday. Last night, I fell down hard and just realized how far I have to go. I am overwhelmed with so many emotions, tasks, demands, fears, and the reality of what is going to happen next. I may have come a long way to get here, but I feel like I'm just starting a whole new, very hard thing.
Today is a good day. I fell down really hard the other night and I feel really strong. And then a little butterfly will go by and knock me down. It's like, it takes nothing. I feel like I'm just dust ready to crumble. But I know that this is a process and I am absolutely solid in my decision I remember feeling like, oh, but there's this, and I have this amazing, awesome life, and I'm going to have to throw it all away for this very one reason. And I justified staying for so long because of that until I didn't, until it was just like, all right, 2021 was a year of really hard things happening to me. This is a year that I chose what the hard things are. So I think if I were to focus on one thing and say, this is the hardest thing I'm facing right now, well, I feel like I'm between two things. The road ahead is just hard. There's big obstacles. I'm just taking them one at a time. My prayers in the morning, whether you're a spiritual person or not, they have been my lifesaver. I mean, truly. And they ground me, and it's good. So I see this really hard road ahead, but it's a good one. Yeah. And then hubby is suddenly showing up exactly like he could have all this time and didn't. He's very loving and oh, I'm so in love with you, and please come home, and I don't want our life to be broken apart. I'll do whatever you want. And I'm like, no, but it takes energy to keep him at bay. Like even after I talked with him this afternoon, he's like, can we go on a Jeep ride Sunday? Because we're going to talk on Sunday about some logistics. And I said, it's going to be really open. We have to make some decisions. We've got this house to sell. We've got where we're going to live. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, can we go on a bike ride? Can we do all these other fun things? I'm just like, it's exhausting, and I feel that it's such a, like I feel very solid in my decision, but it's just exhausting. And I did get COVID last week. We just got over that too.
When you don't feel good physically, it's really like you have to put pause on some of the emotional stuff until you can get to feeling good physically.
Absolutely.
So there are a couple things that I wanted to just, because I know that so many people deal with different elements of this. So I'm going to share some thoughts that I put together, and then we can sort of circle back around to you and go, okay, what of that can you take and hold on to and really use?
Yeah.
Okay. So at the very end here, you said, I've come a long way to get here, but I feel like I'm starting a whole new, very hard thing. And my first reaction to that was, yeah, because you are. And we think that divorce is like one thing, like this, oh, I have my job, I have kids, divorce, like it's just one thing. As I started thinking about all the things that you walk through, I literally made a list of like different phases. And these are not necessarily sequential where one ends and the other begins. Sometimes they're parallel. So the first one is making the decision in the first place. You did that. The second one is communicating that decision. You did that one, and you have to keep doing it, as you know. Then there's the whole living arrangements, and if there's children involved, logistics around the kids. After that, then it's navigating divorce. It's going through the process of what is this going to look like, and how do we divide things, and. The fifth one is the grieving process. Because even when you want it, you don't bypass the grieving process.
Grief has been just out of the blue. I didn't realize how much that was going to be there.
Yep, I didn't either. I want to come back to that because we're going to spend some time there. There's also the forgiveness process, which is a whole process. Like for you to forgive yourself for whatever ways you felt like you contributed, or that you're now the mean one or the selfish one because you're honoring yourself. Now you're selfish. And then there's the trusting yourself part. And I talk about that as if that's easy, but I know it's not. Like being able to trust yourself and know that I'm going to come out of this a different person, and I don't actually even know who that person is. Trusting yourself that you can deal with things as they come up, and that you don't have to come up with the 2,000 scenarios. So that trusting yourself is a big deal. Then there's, I'm ready to open my heart to love. And then there's like actually dating or getting into relationship with people as I'm ready to love and I'm healed from this last chapter. These are all like big things in and of themselves. And you can't do all of them all at once. right? But it's part of what keeps us stuck. So let's go to grief. So I learned something today as I was looking at this. So I've always known the 5 stages of grief. So that is denial, anger, bargaining. Bargaining is the, well, what if, and the regrets and the if onlys. Then there's depression, which is just sadness, not just sadness, but sadness/depression, and acceptance. And you can go from one to the other in like 2 hours. And where you are, because it's not like you go to first grade and then you go to second grade and you go to third grade. It's not like that. It's literally like you'll bounce all over the place, and eventually it will start to level out. But also at the same time, he's bouncing all over the place. So when he's in denial, you have to keep reiterating. When he's in bargaining, like, why can't we just go for a bike ride? Why can't we go for a Jeep ride? Like, he's trying to get back into the fun so that you'll forget about all this divorce nonsense.
Exactly. Yes.
Right. He's trying to change the circumstance that has been presented to him. So this is what I learned today, that there's a 6th phase of grief. And this is from David Kessler. He wrote a whole book called The 6th Stage of Grief, and it's called Finding Meaning. When you can find meaning in the loss, now it takes on significance, and it gets you out of a lot of the real volatile ups and downs. So then I started thinking, all right, well, what exactly does that mean? And I was like, okay, well, so for me in my life, my divorce was really the catalyst that led to a season of like enormous growth for me, where nothing remained the same. And it was also a time for me to discover who I was and who I wanted to be outside of what everyone else thought I should be, or even what I had been taught I should be. So it can be a tool to help you evolve or to reconnect with your own sense of self. You might become a more better or more present parent. You might deepen your compassion or empathy for others. I see this a lot in my community of ladies because, almost everyone says, like, I never meant to be in an affair. I never planned this. I used to think, why would people do that? They should just end their marriage if they want to be with someone else. Like, it's so easy to say. And then when you find yourself in it, and then it's like, thou shalt not throw stones at glass houses. Like, shoot, I wasn't expecting that. So we find compassion, we find empathy, and it's not so clear cut. And you could say the same thing about divorce. Some people choose to judge people who want to get divorced. But then when they're in that situation, now all of a sudden they have to find some compassion. It might help you become more accepting of change. It might help you discover what you want and then how to honor those needs and desires, knowing that your happiness matters too. It doesn't matter more than other people's, but that it matters equally as of other people's, and that it's my responsibility to take care of those. So those are all like huge things. It could help you find your voice. It could awaken a gratitude practice for you. It could inspire you to seek out healthier habits or relationships. But once you can find meaning in it, it's sort of like you can put a wrapper around it and make some more sense in it. So I really appreciated like that number 6, because 1 through 5 is all just hard. Okay, a few more things, because I want to talk about guilt. I want to talk about shame, and I want to talk about the selfishness, all that stuff that lots of people feel. We'll get into emotions. So society says, be strong, get over it, move on. It's just divorce. Like, you shouldn't be feeling so up and down and up and down. Like, you've made your decision, now just do it. But you can't heal what you're not willing to feel. So if we stuff down our feelings, it just stays with us longer. So we shouldn't judge our feelings and say, I shouldn't be feeling this way. You just go, oh, this is part of the roller coaster ride of loss. Oh, and then I mentioned something about this. Don't give divorce any more power than it already has. Don't give it the power for you to lose yourself, to create a drinking problem or something, to work yourself into exhaustion, or to torch friendships. So this guy, David Kessler, he said, we think the goal is to make the grief smaller. The grief doesn't get smaller. We have to grow around the grief.
I like that.
I thought that was helpful. Okay, so now let's talk about the selfishness and guilt. Anyone got guilt? We should have like a t-shirt instead of got milk, got guilt. Lots of people raising their hands. Yeah.
I will say that. I mean, in that it like guilt is something that my husband's using against me. It's like, but I'm basically this really great guy, and I didn't know this was coming, and how can you just do this? And I have had conversation after conversation where I thought I was extraordinarily blunt, and like you said earlier, I thought he truly was just waiting for me to make the move, and that he would just be really happy. And so there's a whole range of emotions that I wasn't expecting to have to sit with, and I think being in this course really allowed me to not rush through them, to say, oh, I know what this is and I know why it's here, and it's not going to kill me. So,
yeah. Yes. Oh my God. So powerful. So as I started just like Googling, because, Google knows lots of things, I was like, let me just see something about guilt, And so I love this language of like, what, because, when I talk about guilt, I'm like, it's such a worthless emotion. There's nothing you can even do with it. But here's why it's there. It's there to punish you and protect you. Think about that. So it wants to protect you, to keep you stuck where you are so that you won't make any scary moves like walking through divorce. That's scary. But there's also a payoff, because if I can feel guilty enough, then I'm punished for my sins. I'm going to punish myself for my sins, right? And it keeps us safe in our comfort zone. Guilt will also restore our self-image that I'm a good person. Think about it. I do something as selfish as ending my marriage. And now I feel like shit about myself, and I'm hurting someone that I care about. And that doesn't feel good. But if I feel guilty enough, like narcissists don't feel guilt. I'm still a good person. Like it restores that idea that I'm still a good person. So that's why the guilt is there. I was like, yes, that's brilliant. I love that. This particular article said it can also be a trauma response to protect or keep us from breaking down psychologically. I don't have a lot of experience with that, but I can for sure see how guilt keeps us stuck and keeps us just punishing ourselves. And then there's the distinction between guilt and shame. So for the easiest way to express it, this is from Brené Brown, is guilt is I did something bad. Shame is I am bad. So it comes on your character. And whenever shame is present, blame is also present, usually on ourselves. Okay, so I just said a whole bunch of stuff. What of that speaks to you? Where do you want to go deeper? What do you want to express? Anything?
Yes, I think what speaks to me most is just how powerful those emotions are. And just walking through them. I love the idea that at the end of this, that you can find meaning. It's what has kept me moving forward, because honestly, every person who cares about me is like, finally, oh my gosh, it's about time. And I just am like, yeah, I know, but it took me all this time to just get that inner strength. And like one day I literally woke up on a Tuesday and went, oh, today's the day. And I did it. And it was just like that. And the day before I probably was scared to death and thought I would be there forever. And, you wobble and you get really scared. So this conversation with him on Sunday, I think I asked a question in last week's discussion about, man, it's just so exhausting. And you say you had the conversation 26 times. And I guess I always thought the conversation was the first one where you say, I want a divorce. No, it's not that conversation. It's after and after and after and after. And it's so much. It's just hard,
And when you're having those multiple conversations, which everyone will, at some point, you don't keep explaining the why. Because the why, if you think of it like a tree, your decision is the tree trunk. And the whys are branches. What made you come to this decision? And so you start explaining it for the 400th time or something, right? But it takes you down a branch, and then your partner wants to argue that point. It's like if you give them these reasons, 1, 2, 3, they want to get rid of the reasons so that then the decision will be different. At some point, you have to go, I have communicated this in the very best way I knew how to do. I'm not just going to keep explaining it. I'm not going to say it in some way that's going to make you now go, oh, I get it. I totally agree. I would have left my ass a long time ago too. Like, he's never going to say that.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's like, that's when you start to get more direct, and you just don't go down those branches. You just say,
and I'm just taking a huge assumption that I do not want to go on a Jeep ride. I do not want to do anything to give him, I want to be kind.
yes.
But I don't want to have a steak dinner and a bottle of wine with him, which he keeps offering. It's like, well, can we, and I'm like, I don't answer texts that are going to take me out, down some path of, I miss you too, or, whatever. I just.
Right. And you know what? You can say no can be a complete sentence.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to go on a Jeep ride. You don't even have to go into because la, 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 la. You don't have to. No, I don't want to have a steak dinner and share a bottle of wine. What I'd like to do is talk to you about our next steps.
Good. My instincts are on them. They didn't used to be, we went through this literally a year ago, and he was saying the same things and they were working. And he said, please come home. We'll work it out. And when I came home, it was, well, you can be here, but you're going to do things my way now. And that's when things really took a turn. And I knew that this wasn't where I wanted to be. So, I think what I would like to just speak to the people watching is everything that you have taught happened in my life exactly the way you said it would, the good and the bad and the ugly. And to know that I had resources for the first time, that there were tools that they weren't easy, but they were simple. And as long as I kept my toolbox at hand, I'm absolutely thrilled at this thought of my future. A year from now, I can't wait. You just need a time machine. You just got to.
I know. Where's the fast forward button?
Truly, I'm just so grateful. It's not easy, but it's just wonderful to be here finally after years of saying, I want to leave and I didn't know how. So.
Yeah. And you are so welcome. And I am both proud of you and excited for you for a year from now.
Yeah, me too. And that's what all my loved ones say too. They're proud of me and they can't wait to see where I go.
Yeah.
Just really, now it's hard, but it won't be hard forever.
That's right. That's right. And we can do hard. We can do a little hard. Is there anything else? You're getting a lot of encouragement, a lot of love in here. Yeah. There is no other way through it but through it. And if you just keep reminding yourself, like just one foot in front of the other, eventually you do reach the center point, that place of real peace. And you're not in the ring of fire, but it is the ring of fire. And they call it that for like a client of mine. She used to always say, they don't call it the ring of fire for nothing. And that just reminded her, like, it's supposed to be hard. And it is hard. It's really hard, but it's not hard forever.
Yeah.
It's hard for a year. Yeah. You're doing great. You're doing great. And none of the things that you are, the volatility of emotions where one day you're like so solid and the next day you're not, don't judge the times that you're not.
Yeah.
Because you know what it's like to feel really grounded and solid in your decision. So you know your way back home. You know that feeling. And because you've been there before, you can find your way back there.
Yes. Yeah.
I call it the bounce back. So it's not that once you start using these tools that you never feel another day of out of control emotions. Of course you will, because life is just going to keep happening and hormones are going to keep happening and we're going to have emotions. But when I have a day like that where I'm feeling kind of tumultuous about something, where I might have stayed in that for weeks, months, years before, it just kept getting shorter and shorter. And now, because I genuinely care so much about how I feel, I don't want to burn an hour or two on some bullcrap that gets me twisted up.
Yeah.
Like, I get so stingy about the time I'm willing to spend sitting in the shit. Like, sometimes I'll do it. I'll do it for a little bit, but I'm not going to do it for a whole day. I'll do it for a few hours, right? Your bounce back just gets shorter and shorter. So it's not perfection. That's not the goal. The goal is just, oh, I know this. This is what happens. And I know my way back home. And I know how to get there. And it'll probably just be a little while from now.
Which is a lifesaver, literally, that you're not going to be swimming in all of that sadness forever.
Right.
And yeah.
So emotions, think of it like the ocean. The ocean never stops moving. That's what emotions are like too. So when you're feeling really great, sorry to tell you, you're not going to feel really great forever. But also likewise, when you're feeling really crappy, remind yourself you're not going to feel really crappy forever either, because they're always moving. All right. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling, I think, exactly where I'm supposed to be feeling. Fragile and vulnerable and proud of myself and scared to death and excited and just the whole gamut.
If today's episode resonated with you and you're ready to find real clarity about your relationship, I'd love for you to take the next step. Apply for a Truth and Clarity session where you'll speak with a member of my team about where you are in your marriage, what's keeping you stuck, and whether my coaching is the right fit for you. You don't have to navigate this alone. Go to clarityformymarriage.com to apply now.